Sprayly.com. Remember, kids, you only get the first couple of minutes if you're enjoying the show. If you're like, man, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. What is this? This is the Rants of Izzo show here on Sprayly Media. So if you go to Sprayly.com, several things can happen. You can download the app for your smartphone. You can go to our social media and say whatever the hell you want there without any censorship whatsoever. It's also the kind of social media where, like, if something goes wrong and you're like, man, I can't stand this, and you go to call Mark Zuckerberg, you're not going to get a hold of him. But you can actually call the CEO and have a conversation with him. It's pretty damn cool. You can also email angry messages to HR department on me, and they will answer it, and then we will mock you behind your back. But you only get the first few minutes if you're on an inferior social media channel. If you want to watch the rest of the show or listen to it, you have to go to Sprayly Media or Sprayly.com.
Wait, what are you texting me on?
Exactly, because it just didn't. I'll show you a screenshot.
Is it using my
Correct. Yes.
Apple ID?
Yes. I don't know why it does that. I don't know. I don't understand how it defaults to that.
Okay.
All right, kids, we got 1 minute. Well, less than 1 minute here. Rants of Izzo show here on Sprayly Media. Are you ever going to move out of that state? I'm not going to divulge where you're at.
Hopefully. Yeah, maybe I'll get your thoughts on a couple of things behind the scenes about that.
All right, let's have a good show here. It's Friday. Let's have some fun.
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your host, Dominick Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
Great if I unmute my own mic. Happy Friday, guys. This is the Rants of Izzo show here on Sprayly Media. Hope you guys are doing well. It's Friday. The weekend's here. Weather's going to be a little bit nice. And there's all that. I don't fucking care how to open today. Kayla from Flex Your Feminine sitting in with me today, and it's a good Friday. Got the Robert Palmer Simply Irresistible look going on. The second you pull that up, I went, oh my God, and I played it. Okay. You asked me before the show how I'm feeling. Yeah. Good. So we looked into, and my dad and I were two bachelors. He's 73. I'm 49 in a couple of days. And I'm like, dude, we got to get this, like, health shit under control. And I told you before, I was making my own bread, which is great. You don't get no insulin crash. You have a slice of like homemade bread, and you just don't. I don't care if it's bleached white flour. I just don't get crash. It's incredible. But I added B12 during the day. Last time I had the B12, right? Only doing one now because I was so jacked up. It was ridiculous. At night with my last meal of the day, I take 400 milligrams of magnesium, and then an hour before I go to bed, I take copper and zinc together because it was told to take those two together. And then twice throughout the day during meals, I will take 299 milligrams of, so 100, 200. So I take 400 milligrams of potassium. Night and day difference.
Yeah.
Night and day difference. And I thought, it's not a placebo. They say that if you're lacking in your potassium or anything else, I feel better. So I actually find myself on the treadmill running and shit. It's just great. So it's an update for that.
No, that's awesome. It's really, really valuable intracellular salts there.
What? Interstellar salts? Oh my God, you got a co-host.
I do. You can share her picture if
I
you
can't
want.
get it
That's
up
why
there, but
I was slightly distracted. She kept putting her wet nose in my elbow.
Dogs are fantastic. All right,
That's
we're gonna go.
me.
We're gonna go a different direction today, unless you have anything you want to add to that, to the fundamentals of necessary supplementation.
No, I mean, I think short of like getting down the rabbit hole, which we kind of did last week, which was fun. Let's go with like a bit of a different vibe today.
All right, so this is what I wanted to do because Kayla and I first did podcasts years ago on relationship stuff, and it was great having you talk about that. We never talked about that. Feminine energy, male energy. And I will show you the one that kicked me off into being, and going, we got to go down this fucking rabbit hole. Okay. Have you ever seen the video, now that they're big, these, like, hey, I'm from Chicago, of course we X, Y, and Z. And then somebody else goes, hey, I'm from Chicago, of course we do X, Y, and Z. Like, it's this new trend.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, so let's start with this first. This is from Caleb and Kelsey on TikTok. They have 1.4 million followers. When you look at their stuff, they seem to be a Christian couple. And they
great.
do, here's worship. Every worship song in 3 minutes has 3 million views. Here is the perfect collaboration between him and her. I want to get 7.2 million views. So I want to give you the vibe. I want to play this, like 10 seconds of this, and I want you to see if you felt what I did with this. Let's do this.
Okay.
Love for me, darling, just dive.
Oh, okay. Music aside, God, that's a man.
I mean, just reading the body language, it's pretty.
That's where I was going with her body language. Like I'm choosing to just look at you like you're my leader. I am sexist. I fucking looked at this. I'm kind of like, okay, I cringed a little bit. All that. That's fine. This is their stuff. That didn't bother me as much. When it got to this, I went, okay, now we're talking hypocrisy.
Okay.
This is what it was.
I'm the wife, so we always do things that I want to do.
I'm the husband, so
I'm the wife, so when we get into an argument, you have to apologize first.
I'm the husband.
I'm the wife, so half of our monthly budget goes to makeup and skincare. I'm the wife. We always go to bed when I want to go to bed.
I'm the husband.
I'm the wife.
So for those who don't understand, this trend gives two opposing people their positions on something like Chicago. I saw in Chicago was pretty accurate. It's I'm from Chicago. Of course, we call it a front room. And for those who don't know, if you have a front room in your house, everybody in the Chicago area calls it a frunch, FRUNCH room, front room. Just always been that way. And then somebody else will go, I'm from Chicago. Of course, we don't put mustard on our hot dogs. So you have two people doing that. In this video,
You don't?
no, we don't. Or excuse me, no, we don't put ketchup on our hot dogs. We don't.
Okay.
We only put mustard on hot dogs. Ketchup is a
I was
no-no.
like, really? Mustard is so great.
Mustard goes on everything. When I saw this video, I went, how is it 2024? And this is like the shit that my mother did. But it wasn't a joke. My mother would shut my father down on shit. My father wasn't allowed to run stuff and this and that stuff. How are we still joking around about this crap? And then if you comment it's a joke, oh, relax, it's a joke. No, it's not. There's a massive amount of seriousness in this, even today in 2024. How have women got to the point where they'll mock this shit and it's okay?
Feminism is cancer, and feminist men allow it.
You think that guy's a feminist man?
Yeah. He's on TikTok.
I'm on TikTok.
Allowing himself to be emasculated by his own wife.
I had said years ago, I was dating girls 10 years ago, and I didn't understand what I was doing. It was like Facebook was just allowing videos to come up and whatnot. And we did a video, I just put out my opinions. I put them out there, and they just, that's it. I always do first take stuff, end of story. And it was the new Star Wars had come out, so maybe this was 2015, and I had said, hey, you want to go see the Star Wars with me? She goes, get your phone out. So I go, okay. So we had to do 4 or 5 takes on this shit where she goes, okay, what I want you to do is you hold the phone. You're going to ask me, do you want to go see Star Wars? Then you're going to pan to me, pan back to you, pan to me, and I'm going to give you the middle finger. And I went, okay. So we did that, posted it. You know how many men and women DM me saying, why would you let her disrespect you like that? I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. I'm like, okay, we're doing some funny kind of skit. Had no clue. And we did a couple of others like that where I didn't understand. It's like, holy shit, you know what? There is a vibe to this where joking behind the scenes is fine, but you're setting the stage as a man for other men not to take you seriously and try to move in on your significant other, or you're opening the door for women to say, I don't have to take him seriously. I can go seek male attention somewhere else. What kind of harm are we doing with these little playful shit videos?
Well, my question to that couple would be like, I mean, obviously we don't know the state of their marriage behind closed doors. So like when I make a assertion, it's about him being feminist. It's an assumption based off of very limited information, obviously, everybody. Okay. So, that aside, my question would be like, on that post, was there anything in the caption about why this is wrong?
So it
for
says
a relationship dynamic?
No, all it says is this might be a bit, and bit is all capital letters BIT, of an exaggeration. Right? Laughing face. Hashtag marriage, hashtag skit, wife, husband, couple relationships.
Yeah. So here's my problem with that line of comedy, especially coming from the Christian community, is that it's fostering the clickbait nature and the trend nature of the algorithm in social media. Or sorry, not fostering, it's capitalizing on that, right? And you're not using your reach or using the command from scripture, be salt and light in the world, to create a contrast as to why this is how the world, it might be a bit of an exaggeration for marriages outside of the body of Christ, but marriages inside the body of Christ, here's how we are commanded to love and interact with each other. And here's why Christian marriage is different. That would have been a very different type of content than what they put out. What they put out was no different than the way that comedy is used to slapstick very toxic behavior. And sure, it's just funny. It's just funny. You know how many things people get away with because they just want to say that it's a joke, it's funny? Like cops have a very disturbing sense of humor. It's a coping mechanism, right? You understand this. I understand this. There are certain times where my husband says something and I'm like, honey, I know that that's a coping mechanism, what you just said, and it's totally understandable, but like, please don't speak that into our universe.
That's like, go ahead, go talk about that, because that's what you're actually doing.
So it's like, that's my role. Like, in respect, I understand where he's coming from, but in respect, it's my role as his helper, as his wife, to like see those things, have each other's blind spots, see those things that he maybe doesn't see, and help each other navigate that, and he does the same thing for me in other ways. Perfect example. You brought up that video you did with your ex-girlfriend on Facebook, and I see guys doing this all the time in the fitness industry specifically, where they are like the freaking cameraman for their girl, and the Instagram becomes like an OnlyFans funnel because they're getting all of these angles that are just completely inappropriate and whoring their girl out online to get attention and likes and clickbaitiness. And I remember I never wanted to be that girl online. But I remember asking my now husband years ago when we first started dating, we would work out together, and I would ask him to just get appropriate angles, just record me doing this exercise so that I can put out educational content. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't be that guy. And it wasn't because he didn't believe in me or didn't think that what I was doing was important or was ever belittling to me, because to this day, my husband supports me in every way possible, but he wouldn't be the cameraman. He's like, I'll hire you a cameraman. I'm not going to be your cameraman.
Yep. The second you changed that, you said that changed the vibe, because at first I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't like that. I like when I'm with somebody, them being the center of attention and men craving them. But what you just said makes complete sense. No, I'm not being your errand boy.
Yeah,
I'm not.
exactly.
I will. That was an appropriate answer on his part, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Do you
just a
think
different
that you
energy,
just didn't
you
want to
know?
go that way because you had the modeling experience? You just ran it out of your system, and like women are, it's like I know that one of the things is with men is what do we feel like we're trapped once we're married? And I think that so many people get married off of the lust issues, and then all of a sudden you have no communication, nothing else, and they clearly are not able to sit there and sustain anything. Does that work on both fronts? Where that's one of the biggest things with Instagram is that the constant seeking of attention versus trying to create it with your partner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much I do agree. It's very much like a misdirection or a misallocation of where that energy should be going. You know, the grass is greener where you water it. And the how do I want to say it? There's very much the feminine energy, if she's not aware, self-aware and self-conscious productively, she's a very consumptive energy, and it's biologically manifested by the vagina and the womb being very consumptive. The man is erect and production, ejaculation is production, it's seeding the soil. And the woman's biology is consumptive, it's receptive, and then it's going to grow if she's fertile, if the soil is fertile. So that physical manifestation.
Can we take that in the emotional sense too?
Exactly.
Okay, so if you're emotionally fertile, the relationship will grow.
Yes, because and it's going to be a mirror. I was just talking about this in my group last week on a masterclass. It's going to be a reflection, almost like a mirror for the relationship and for the quality of stewardship that he or the masculine energy in the exchange is providing. Her fertility, which could be physical, could be energetic, etc., emotional. If she is not healthy, if she is not fertile, if she is not self-aware and responsible for those things, his stewardship, even if it's the best stewardship in the world, taking the best actions, casting the best seeds, are going to fall on infertile ground and nothing's going to grow.
It's amazing we aren't taught this in school. We're going to continue. We're watching some videos here on Friday, making it easy. And Kayla from Flex Your Feminine and I are just going to be enjoying this and for your pleasure. But most of my saved videos are sexist content here. This woman reveals why a man should always be on his woman's side in public. This is from Success Owner. What are your thoughts on this? And let's check this out. I don't remember this one.
Worst human invention ever made.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this.
What the hell was that? Oh, never mind. Wrong button.
A man has to be on his girl's side, especially if it's in public, and even more so if it's about another girl. Even if you don't logically think that she's correct, it doesn't matter. You're not a referee. Your job is not to be impartial. Your job is to be her man. If you do disagree with her, you better make sure it doesn't sound like you're siding with another female. What are you trying to do? Make another woman feel more special? Trust me, you are not doing that girl any favors. All she's gonna see is a guy who disrespects his woman. Man.
Go ahead. I want to hear what your thoughts are about this.
I agree with her.
I don't disagree with her. I have dated the women who like to start shit, and then you're like, motherfucker. I had a friend of mine. I had to explain this years ago. This was 2013. A friend of mine and I went out to get late lunch. She happened to be an attractive woman, right? 5'8", blonde, augmented chest. It was middle of summer, so she's wearing a sundress, tan, all this. And we went to a steakhouse, and we sat at a bar high top to eat because it's just us hanging out. It's actually one of those rare female friends that I was not sexually interested in. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, gone for, 3-4 minutes, come back, and there's two men at the table. Clearly. I mean, it's just going to happen that way. Yeah. As I'm there, probably a good 3 minutes goes by. The guys they gave me a nod. That was it. And I was so fucking irritated because I was like, I tried explaining this to her later on. I said, do you understand the position you put me in by not saying, this is so and so, this is whatever I was, or pick a title or something. I said you put me in the position of saying, hey, how are you guys? What's going on? I'm Dominick. I'm Dominick. By me introducing myself and interjecting myself, I could be viewed as rude, insecure, and or just threatened. And I said, you left me in that position where if I don't say anything, now I'm condoning these two men, scooping in on my territory. I said it was your job to sit there and say, oh, gentlemen, this is so-and-so. Dominick, these two men just came up with, great, it's good to meet you guys. We're going to enjoy our dinner. That would have given me the proper outlet. Women don't know that role either. Guys, I think when it comes down to what she said, us guys are far more in a position where it seems like women like to stir the pot for whatever reason, especially with other women. And yeah, we're not going to take no, you can't take another fucking woman's side. But let me ask you, if you're out and your significant other vehemently disagrees with what you're doing, but takes your side, how should he bring it up to you on the car ride home?
Well, and this may not work for everybody because not everybody's, I'm not wired like everybody, and my relationship is unique in the sense of we have a certain level of intimacy and there's directness there. There's bluntness that I understand is his way of being a good steward and planting really healthy seeds. He's not blunt or direct in ways that he intends to hurt me with or doing things to me. He's doing things for us or saying things for us, even if they're not comfortable to hear, right? And so that's where a lot of women in relationships, they have no capacity to receive that kind of leadership or stewardship. And so therefore it falls on deaf ears or it becomes a fight, and it's a source of bitterness, that sort of thing. So like this actually happened a couple of years for us where, without going into too much detail and involving too many people, we were visiting some people out of state, and there was a confrontation between me and one of the gals, and she immediately required that everyone be on her side, and my husband didn't play that game. Mm-hmm. And she was very much in the wrong, which everybody understood, but there were people that were going to play the game on her side because they were simply just more loyal to her, and I was the outsider. My husband approached it and confronted actors involved by basically saying, this is completely ridiculous. And if I disagreed with my wife about how she handled something, we would deal with it. I don't need to blindly be her yes boy. But at the same time, like, you can't let something this ridiculous come between people. You know what I mean? So he addressed it with me afterwards as, well, maybe this could have been handled a little bit differently, but that's not a deciding factor as to how this really went down. That's not, the way that I see it is overall you handled it pretty well, and you're not in the wrong. But if you were in the wrong, I would tell you because it's a growing opportunity,
So yeah, we just don't fly off the handle. What the fuck were you thinking? And that's a fair thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not tending to the garden of her or your relationship. That's not going to make her feel safe or like you're the safe place to go and be tended to. If we use your grass is greener where you water it analogy and look at your relationship and your woman as a garden, you can't go in there with a fucking chainsaw. What the fuck were you doing? And blah, 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 and expect her to bloom and blossom under your stewardship. You have to be a good gardener. It's a huge responsibility.
Oh, we are enjoying some videos here today. And I have ADD. I'm going all over the place. I want to find it after a couple. Do you know who Chris Crone is?
That sounds familiar.
Oh, let me pull this one up. Complete
I
random.
can't place. I can't place why.
I saw. So Chris Crone. What made me think of him is just a couple days ago. I saw a video. He's an influencer. Does like real estate and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And he's like, I have daily. I consume 700 grams of carbohydrates, 400 grams of protein. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
He's 170 pounds soaking wet.
You don't. You do. 400 grams of protein would have somebody shitting all day long. And how can you? It would be, I can't. It's so hard for me to get 150 grams of protein in. But this was his morning routine. I got to pull this one up because this was great. Let me find out his morning strategy. Chris Crone, morning strategy. Sarah, this is where we have to get you paid and on the show. It's on my, okay, let me find this one up. I'm going to pull this one up. And I do. This is where I need the Jeopardy music in the background.
Yeah.
We should do this. Okay. I'm going to share the screen with you, and we'll take this one because this is one of my favorite ones ever.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yep.
Is formed before 9 a.m. So I'm up at 4 a.m. From 4 to 4:20, I do a book on double speed. So I'm listening. At 4:20, I'm on the treadmill with my wife and we're doing an active meditation together for 40 minutes. It includes a reverie where we're basically aligning the pharmacy of the body to over-dopamine the mind by gratitude, serotonin the brain, and then we shift into Mind Palace, which is 20 minutes of co-creating our best bodies. 5 o'clock, we then hit the weights. That happens between 5 and 7. And then between 7 and 8, that's my time with my wife. Between 8 and 9 is an hour with our kids after we shower and get ready, where we're doing breakfast and life lessons. And by 9 a.m., the day technically hasn't started yet, but everything that was important to me is done.
What time do you go to bed?
Monday through Friday, I'm good with 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So often it's 11 or midnight. Saturday, I sleep in generally till like 5:30 or 6. And Sunday, I'll sleep until 9 or 10. And then Monday, I'm refreshed and my body's good to go.
Yeah. I call bullshit.
Classic example of exceptionally masculine, hustle-oriented perspective. And
go on.
His wife cannot function optimally. Women do not function optimally off of 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. What concerns me about that entire thing is that there's zero respect for their circadian rhythm for each of them. You're up way before the sunrise. You're going to sleep way after the sunset. There's plenty of consistency, but it's not really aligned with biological truth or nature. But I mean, if it's working for them, then awesome. I just wonder what it's going to look like in another year or two. You know what I mean? Especially for her.
Here's what I call bullshit. I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter what time I set my alarm clock up. It takes a couple of minutes to prop myself up, get on the edge of the bed. How do you go? I get up at 4 a.m. and then I do a book on double speed. Do you literally get up that second, hit the fucking play button because the earbuds have been in your ears all night? So then at 4:20, when 4:20 comes and you transition, so from 4:20 to 5 o'clock, then I do. How long did it take you to get to the next room? Then from 5 to 7, we work out. Is the gym in the house? That's the shit that I think is a lie. Because literally, if he starts his day at 4 a.m., he's not going to start the double book, speed, read, whatever, until 4:20. It's not going to happen. So these guys are all full of shit. I can't stand them.
There's probably quite a bit of truth in what you just said.
I can't stand these guys. All right,
everybody's trying to be Jocko Willink and David Goggins.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like everybody's trying to do the most find the newest like trend or be the new trend setter and following in the super hyper masculine footprints of Jocko Willink and David Goggins in that sphere.
Who are military persons. They're military persons.
We're talking about the 0.1% of the 1%.
Goggins did all three he did 3 specialty trainings. He's not a normal human being.
Jocko Willink was special forces.
Well, he's a SEAL, I believe, too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. So it's like these are the most exceptional of our warrior-minded men, and then you've got freaking entrepreneurs out there who.
Well, not just that. Criminals. Have you not noticed the
Right.
uptick. I don't know him personally. I am not attacking him, but he's all over. Wes Watson is all over, and now how hard he is from going to jail. And
Right.
I had this conversation the other day with somebody where, like, with my culture, I grew up Italian American. And yes, the story is my mother's brother got so pissed when he was in his early 20s because he was not sponsored into the mafia by his uncle. If you've ever seen the movie The Godfather, my uncle John is Sonny. He is fucking Sonny to a T. The Spacone, the fucking wannabe. Every Christmas growing up, it was the slap boxing. I hated it. And but we have that in our family, and I never wanted to go that direction. Like, we have got, anytime a man my age says, yeah, I grew up near Taylor Street in Chicago, I got to go, do you realize that was the 50s and 60s when that era was popular, and we weren't born until the mid 70s? So I went the opposite direction, law enforcement, but that just turns out to be a government mob, right? So
Right.
I guess my point is I don't understand why we idolize criminals. You look at, like I have a love-hate relationship with mob movies. Yes, I like Casino. Yes, I like Godfather. Yes, I like all the movies, but I never had the posters up in my walls as kids, like idolizing it. So I don't know why this is the new generation of people. You have to go to prison, and these guys are selling programs. I mean, Andy Elliott's another guy who I think he's selling his program, and him, Grant Cardone. I do not think that they produce many Grant Cardones or Andy Elliott's because most human beings are not like this. They're selling their product, which they should. That's capitalism. But the hardened criminal aspect of it, I don't get our fascination and respect with that. And we do that with, like, Snoop Dogg or gangster rap and shit. I just never understood it. No.
Well, I think it's very much. You think back to the scene with Pontius Pilate and Jesus Christ, where he gave the people the choice of Barabbas, who was basically a serial killer, psycho, and Jesus. Like, who would you rather see set free? And the people chose Barabbas, and they wanted Christ killed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that same. It's almost that same. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. Sorry, my brain. Like, the same. You could psychoanalyze that and say that it's the same spirit of choosing the criminal.
We have a fascination with that shit. I just don't get it.
I think some of it in the entrepreneurial space is the redemption story of someone going from hard times. It's the hero's journey. If you look at, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all of these different movies, the archetype there that people get so drawn into is the hero's journey. The outcast that becomes the king, like Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings, he was a complete outcast before he was brought back into the fold as the king of Middle Earth.
Well, look at Joseph. Joseph was the youngest of 12. Look at the movie. We went from idolizing what was the movie when I was a kid? Lucas was a movie. Charlie Sheen was in it. Corey Haim was in it, the high school nerd. You had Rudy, which was in 1993 or 4 came out, of Rudy Rudiger, who played for Notre Dame, one down. And wanted, it was like 5'6", 150 pounds, and went to Rocky. So, but then how did it go to? Oh, look, let's idolize the hardened criminal who goes in and does all this shit and then comes out. I just can't understand the fascination with it.
I almost wonder, like, I don't know, I'm just hashing this out with you, but I almost wonder if there's some sort of shadow psychosis that, like, collectively we're working through, because there's been such a feminist movement that's been anti-masculinity, anti-patriarchy, that people are trying to subconsciously, like, we're trying to find the pendulum swinging, right? And we're trying to find, like, those masculine archetypes that we can believe in again. And if it's a redemption story, the hero's journey, then we're sort of being attracted to it. The bad guy, the toxic masculine that turns good, comes over to the light side. You know what I mean? I wonder if that is, I just wonder.
I have no idea. Doesn't make sense to me at all, because I never went that route. I wanted to behave all my life and be a good guy for that. All right, we're going to continue. And maybe I missed out on fun. not being a piece of shit. Who knows?
Maybe it's part of the fact that the feminine psyche, they always say that the women love the bad boys. Maybe that has something to do with it. We have such a feminist society now that feminine energy is super attracted to the toxic masculine bad boy.
Because we went the other direction and we wanted soy forever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, this is, I don't know what this is. Is it cheating? Let's take a look.
Is it cheating if you let someone buy you things because they like you, but you're in a relationship and you do not disclose with your significant other that a stranger that's interested in you is buying you gifts?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm an
Absolutely
influencer.
not. Absolutely
People buy me
not.
stuff all the time.
No.
What is that, one of them videos? I'm an influencer. Is it cheating if?
Yeah, it is cheating.
Yeah, if you have to hide it from your significant other, it's dishonest. It's a lie of omission, and it's cheating. Especially as a woman, you're receiving from another masculine provider. No, not okay energetically. But
cool. All right, let's check this one out. I think that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty simple. The fact that we even have to talk about that's ridiculous.
I know.
And let's do this. All right.
Do you believe the theory that men will marry the woman in front of them? Meaning, he may not think that a woman is necessarily the love of his life, but once a man is financially and emotionally ready to start a family, whoever the woman is in his life at that moment, he will choose to marry her.
That's not true. All you have to do to capture a man the rest of his life is actually stimulate his hormonal response. Think of this. Testosterone is a very aggressive hormone. Here's what happens, ladies. You don't realize this. Your femininity attracts a man, not your aggressiveness. Do you understand that the minute that you are aggressive with a guy, what's his aggressive response? Competition, fight, things like that. Men do not want to combat women. That's why a woman, like I said, it's not who's in front of you. Do you understand? It's actually the one that, believe it or not, stimulates that man the most. Do you understand? And so, remember, think of it this way. If people understood what it was like from a standpoint of a man being in the world, it's highly competitive, it's highly stressful. So last thing they want to do is combat the person that's supposed to bring them peace.
I agree with him 100%, but I want you to listen to this again because what she describes is exactly what so many women I know have done.
Do you believe the theory that men will marry the woman in front of them? Meaning, he may not think that a woman is necessarily the love of his life, but once a man is financially and emotionally ready to start a family, whoever the woman is in his life at that moment.
Running out of time.
Dude, women, that's women.
Yeah.
I know
hear
so many
projection,
women.
a lot of projection in her question, actually.
Have you, how many, and I know so many women, so my DMs, I used to tell this all the time, my DMs are always full. And it's always women who are like, oh, we need more men like you. And I take advantage of that shit. I tell people all the time, if you slide in my DMs, it's either to do business or send me nudes. End of story. And I'm very blunt about that. I'm like, hey, we got to work or you got to send me nudes. And then I could never do that. Then an hour later, you get a fucking nude and it's like, well, you just did it, right? And then I always like the conversation going, I'd explain to me what's going on with you. I cannot tell you how many women I know throughout the years, tons, who settled in their marriages and they're I love my husband. I'm not in love with him. That's why marriage terrifies the shit out of me. And I've always said, if you don't feel like, because I want the solid, like that good rooted, ember burning, mature affection, adoration, and love. Of course, I want the peppering butterflies and stuff like that as well too. But you got to know what that aforementioned one is, and I don't think women do.
As a whole in society, I agree with you. They don't.
There's always exceptions. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about attachment styles. Are you familiar with that conversation? So when I learned about my attachment style, and if you kind of go into the psychoanalytical, like the psychology space, relationship space, kind of bleeds into the polarity space of masculine and feminine a little bit, but the attachment styles are similar vein conversation wise as the love languages. but it's for the way that you attach. It's the way that you subconsciously relate to people, whether it's romantically or friendships or family, the dynamics there in the relationships in your life, romantically, professionally, etc. So when I learned that my attachment style, I was subconsciously programmed as an anxious attacher, everything started to make sense for me. And I was able to then start taking responsibility instead of being a victim to these subconscious programs running in my system. I could then take responsibility and be victorious over changing my attachment style so that it was more of a secure attachment, which made my next relationship, who I'm now married to, work. Part of what made it work, because he's a very secure attachment style. So until both parties are in a healthy state independently and have secure attachment styles programmed or reprogrammed into their nervous systems, we get this like cat and mouse back and forth toxic patterns, which most of us experience our entire lives. It's just a cyclical roller coaster that we can't seem to get off. So I'm very grateful that that awareness was given to me and that I was able to make those corrections.
I want to go a different direction here for a second. I want to play this video and I want your opinion on this. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit before, but we didn't touch on this just yet. I'm sorry, the caption says, this is an example of a man overcoming his fear and asserting his power. You won't believe what happens at the end.
I'm strong. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward. I'm a man. Forward. I am. Move I am a man. I am a man. I am a man. Move forward. I am a man. I am a man. Move forward. I am a man. No! There. 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 There you are, child. There you are. I'm gonna feel sorry for
What is your take on that? As a man,
if you need, number one, if you need that at that point in your life, I think it's a little too late. Scott Sieverts, host of the Burn Pit podcast, and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago, which is why I brought on Rafa Condi from Man of War on Tuesday. We have this conversation, and it's why the Wes Watsons, the Andy Elliots are so successful, is because we have a never-ending funnel of boys who were raised to become this, that need this. If you got, I got blessed. I had a very unaffectionate mother. I say this quite a bit. I come from the only Italian household that there was no affection, no physical affection whatsoever. I do not remember. And it's not a joke. I'm not saying this to insult her. I'm not saying anything. I do not ever remember hearing my mother say, I love you. This never happened. Never happened. She did it with her actions by taking care of us, right? Feeding us, putting us through school, but also making us very independent. She wanted very hard children. I asked her that. I confronted her about it in my late 30s. I go, what was your fucking parenting style? And she goes, I just never wanted you guys to depend on anybody. And I said, okay, well, fuck this up, but there you go. I went the opposite route through my teens, 20s, and 30s, where I overcompensated that by what they call like love bombing now with women I dated, where I would evacuate all of my emotions onto my female partners. I didn't know what I was doing. They saw it as weak, and holy shit, the trauma I went through with that, to where now it's kind of conditioned in me where I'm like, I don't feel that kind of stuff anymore because I've been burned for forever. When you have this, I don't know why they videoed it. I have no idea why they marketed it.
Because it's a marketing piece of content.
100%. 100%. I think that I disagree with the, it's almost like they were going to have the gay sex afterwards. I get the intimacy. I have to assume, I've never felt it on that level, on a military level, but in law enforcement, you've had those calls where the adrenaline dumps afterwards, it was high stress, and you're hugging your partner, and it's like you need that bonding, you need to purge that. I get, this is not one of those situations. It's not one of those. So I have a problem with the showcasing of this. I don't know. I was born in the 70s, and men, the running joke on social media so much is, you see all these memes about men who just, we never addressed our issues. They were told to be swallowed. I want to get your take, because then I want to tell you about a guy who is very popular who does this with children and how I think he's doing damage on that. But that's my take. I don't agree with this. I don't think it should be in public. I don't think it should be in front of other men. I think it should be a one-on-one, and I don't agree with their tactics.
Yeah, I don't agree with the mentorship space being on. It's very much a show, and it's on display. This sort of rite of passage thing is very much necessary for the masculine psyche, and is not something that our society offers. It's throughout the millennia, in every culture, throughout the generations, there has always been a rite of passage for a boy becoming a man, and it is not when they are 35 with another man pushing him down the street. So our culture has completely failed men, and therefore now we have this pendulum swing to where there's a bunch of masculinity coaches and mentorship spaces where you drop 10 plus grand to go yell at each other and get put through a boot camp because you didn't join the military or law enforcement or have any sort of rite of passage of a boy becoming a man to mark your manhood. Men have been completely emasculated in our culture. They have no idea. They have no, they were raised by single mothers who maybe were over affectionate. They were put in a school system that is majority taught by females. They don't have any masculine headship in their lives to give them an example of what to become, what to hope for. And it's tragic. It's a complete failure. It's a complete failure as a society to be in this position, to where now you have men who are in their 20s and 30s going into mentorship spaces like this and being abused in some sense. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity, financially, physically, emotionally, in a lot of ways, in order to prove to themselves, because that's really what it's about. They need something to mark for themselves, like a baptism, crossing over into this new identity that they want for themselves. Men are so hungry for that level of I don't even know
acceptance and approval.
It breaks my heart. It really, really breaks my heart. And it goes back to, we are a nation of no fathers. That's really what it goes back to.
Because we had so many women who thought that they would lead the household like my mother, to where they boxed out the father. My dad is my best friend. He's been in my life my entire life. I didn't know him until I was 40. I had zero, for anybody who doesn't know, I had zero respect for him. In my late 20s, I changed my last name to take my mother's last name. He was still my father in the house. He knew it. And she had vilified him so much. So I'm like, I didn't respect him as a man. Then I started smoking cigars, because I'm like, man, you got to get to know him before what happens if he passes, you don't know him. And I started smoking cigars, which forces you to sit for an hour. And I'm cringing, listening to him talk. And then after a week's worth of cigars, I'm like, holy shit, my entire life has been a fucking lie. This is not the man she told me he was. And that was that. But I think there's so many women, like that's how, both of my sisters, I have two sisters who run the show in their relationships. And I'm like, and you wonder why you guys are miserable. It's fucking ridiculous. I want to go this route next. I want to play this because I talked about this years ago, and I want to get your view on it. I'm going to give you mine. This is Jason Wilson. He's a very well-known martial arts teacher. He has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, and we'll play this video.
Go all the way through. That could be a barrier in life or anything. Punch harder. You gotta punch it hard enough. Punch through it. You feel pain? Yes, sir. Shake that off. Let's go. Zeus! Zeus! That's what this is about. Good. Let's get to that. Why are you crying? That's what this is about, son. It's okay to cry. We cry as men. Why are you crying though, son? Come on. Tell me, why are you crying? It's called a test for a reason, but why are you crying? Go ahead, son. Because what?
Because it is harder to punch through with my left hand.
Okay, good. But you did it, though. You punched him with your left hand. You know in life there's going to be things harder for you to do than other things?
Yes, sir.
And you know those things that may appear to be hard to do, you're going to have to do as a man, regardless. And it's going to take tears. It's going to take the blood of Yeshua, Jesus, and your sweat to break through it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So I don't mind you crying. I cry a lot too. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I want you to you're pulling your blow. I don't know if you're facing fear and you're feeling that you may not make it. And we all face that from time to time. And when as soon as we have resistance, we want to stop, right? Because it's hurting. We feel that pain. We're like, I'm not going through this no more, right?
Exactly.
We have to go off as men. Because it's going to be very painful. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Being a black man in this country, you're going to need mental fortitude. You're going to have to be strong.
His racial shit doesn't. That's not the point of the video.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that for a second. I want to get your take on what you just saw.
I think he's offering very valuable life advice to that young boy in a situation where maybe that boy has no father figure in his life and his dojo master is his father figure. He's going to learn these lessons somewhere at some point in life, and it's going to either be productive or it's going to be destructive. It's much safer for him to learn it in that situation than it is to learn it in a gang outside. But he will learn it in life at some point. This is kind of the rite of passage thing that I was talking about because of the previous video. Better to do this young than to do it as a 30-year-old man having to scream and bear hug another 30-year-old man in a back alley somewhere.
Here's my view.
For $10,000.
First time I saw this, I cringed. First time I saw this, I went, oh, he is setting them up for failure. Here's my view. I gravitated towards strong masculine men since my mother boxed my father out. Again, the guy lived with us, provided for us, a fucking phenomenal father. He is my best damn friend, but she wouldn't let him do his job, right? So I gravitated towards high school wrestling coaches, and then it was supervisors or bosses at work, then it was police chief, then it was martial arts teachers, then it was always the alpha males. And the problem for me is I'm so loud, verbose. I always threatened other males, and they always wind up cutting me off. The problem I have with what he's doing is twofold. It's videotaped. The video went viral, millions of views. Yeah. He made it on several shows, and he just conditioned boys who are looking for a father figure to get praised for crying. Oh, if Johnny just made it to the 5 o'clock news or he's on the Today Show and he's crying, I'm going to be the next one to cry in class. And it started to happen. He started to put more videos of boys crying. Where my view is now these boys go out into the real world. In the real world, now it teaches them empathy and how to sit there and deal with others, but I don't think it teaches them how to apply themselves and others, because they're going to get eaten alive by other men. If they take this tactic with women, we have to be honest. If these boys become teens and they start dating women, and all of a sudden they're crying like this in front of girls, we know women just on a whole are not biologically engineered to be attracted to men who cry. It does not happen. I think he's actually setting these kids up for failure in this environment.
How did he end that interaction with that boy? Was it a hug and a kiss and a dismissal off the mat, or did he have the boy take action?
We will take a look. I'll jump ahead.
Because I don't disagree with you, but I need more context.
Keep fighting, keep going through, and that's where you go.
Let's continue.
Is this his father?
I don't know. But he's got, that's one, he had another, is it another one? This is another, see, this is another student that happened.
This is amazing.
Robotic engineer. No, sir.
Come on, get it. Come on, he will show you what. Come on, you gotta get it. Come on, you hurt? You hurt?
Yes.
Where? You're nervous. That's good. And it's so jacked up for men and boys that we can't even be emotional. Grab it again. Say you're nervous. Loud, yo.
I'm nervous.
Keep saying it.
I'm nervous.
Good, don't let go. Get back up. Say it.
I'm nervous.
Say it again.
I'm nervous.
You say that?
Yes, sir.
Good, say it.
I'm torn because the delivery is teaching them that the reward, if this was not videoed, I'd be 100% fine with this. The problem is now is these kids know that they're being featured on social media and millions of views are going by and they're getting praised for actively tapping in to their fears and vulnerability and expressing them. And then, I'm going to get praised for this. When they go out into the real world, hey, boss, I'm nervous. I don't give a shit. You're getting paid to do this. Go. Wait a second. That's not how Sensei Jason did this with me. I think there's a failure there that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's difficult to because it's videotaped. It's difficult to acknowledge that this is a really sacred exchange. If it wasn't videotaped,
One of my instructors.
was like, and if the sensei was really, I don't know.
He's a good man. The teacher's a great man.
I'm having a hard time articulating it because I agree with what you're talking about, but I'm also agreeing with he's giving a space, he's providing a frame, which is very masculine, healthy masculine behavior in that dojo for these boys to confront their fears and continue taking aligned action through them. He's not teaching them to acknowledge their weaknesses and stay weak like the rest of society does.
Well, you can't explain that to a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old doesn't understand that.
That's why he's just taking action. Like he has certain words, but he's continuing to have them push through the emotions. It's okay to acknowledge you're nervous. It's okay to acknowledge you're afraid. You know what I mean? Like just because you're, cops going into the sound of gunfire, you're courageous doesn't mean you're not afraid. You're just taking action in spite of that fear. That also requires training and a certain level of self-awareness to know that about yourself, or you will become a slave to the fear and not run towards gunfire gunfire.
The sad thing is the real world is if I ran to the gunfire and they came back to the PD and there was a roll call going, guys, I did it and I was so afraid, but I did it anyways, they would go, shut the fuck up. We don't care.
Well, yeah, no, and that's the thing is you're not, when you're a boy and again, this is the difference of it's the art of context, right? When you're a boy taking your first steps into that arena of beginning to be self-acknowledged, right? To beginning to be self-conscious and you're navigating all of these things, it's not the same. It's not a copy paste into a 30-year-old man in your career or in your relationship, giving a play-by-play to everyone about your feelings. It's not a copy paste. I think it's just a first stepping stone, the way that I see it. And again, I'm not a big fan of the public.
I know we put everything out.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do this.
At the same time, I wonder how much this particular publicization, I don't know if I made that word up, of this particular dojo and this particular sensei's way of encouraging these boys and training these boys has impacted other areas of life, other teachers in many modalities that aren't videotaping and capitalizing.
How many other unqualified teachers went this route and fucked shit up?
Right.
How many other teachers went this route and then all of a sudden found themselves as the apex sexual predator of young boys? Oh, you can cry to me now, and then take your gi off. You know, nobody's around. It's how we do. And that goes back to those two grown men that were, I'm a man, as you push forward. You're going to be pushing into me next. Fine, whatever. I don't know. I don't think anybody has a damn answer. No, there's no damn answer, right? I mean, my mother grew up with the Dr. Spock book, and we got the shit beat out of us to classical condition us to harden up. And there was a lot of...
That's not great either.
Ask any woman I date, they'll tell you, no, it's not. All right, that's it. It's Friday. Here we are. You guys have a great damn weekend. We'll be back Monday with the Rants of Izzo show here. I think Matt Spear from The Dumb Show will be joining me again on Monday. And then we'll see you again next Friday. And, good show in the week. It's March. We're here.
Oh my God, it's March. Yeah.
Damn, it's March. Shit. Black History Month is over. There you go. Feel free to, be racist, you stupid idiots. All right, somebody will highlight that and then claim I'm a racist. Guys, you have a great damn day. Go out and help somebody today, and if you can't help them, just don't hurt them. Have a phenomenal weekend. Go check out Flex Your Feminine over on Instagram and show her some love as well, too. See you guys on Monday.